Hey, and welcome to Board with Life News for February 25th. Today I'm going to talk about the winners of the Golden Geek Awards, Settlers of Catan the movie, and the Kickstarter for The Thunderbirds by Matt Leacock. Alright, let's get to it. Hey, I'm Chris. Welcome to Board with Life News. A couple things as far as Board with Life News goes. We released a bit yesterday for Eurogames, and we had a special guest appearance from somebody that I imagine will be excited to see in one of our bits. So if you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely go check that out. We will be releasing a new episode of our Dungeons & Dragons podcast tomorrow, so go in the links below and subscribe to it or whatever on iTunes, like you know. And also, I have talked about this a couple weeks back. I entered a design contest to design a game in a short amount of time with a limited set of components. Well, now you can actually go check out my video of how to play it, and you can download the print and play game and rules and all that goodness if you're interested in that sort of thing. I have links below, or I'll probably put one up on the screen. Any feedback you want to give me is very much appreciated. It was a very cool design contest put on by DFW Nerd Night, and I was very honored to be a part of it, and now we'll see how I do. Alright, on to board game news. The big news this week is Board Game Geek announced the winners of their Golden Geek Awards. I'm going to talk a little bit about the big winner, the Game of the Year, and then I'll just kind of run through all the other categories so I won't talk too much about them to waste too much time. The Game of the Year, in a little bit of a surprise, was Splendor. I think a lot of people are expecting Dead of Winter to win this. I think the reasoning is that Splendor is a very simple and easy to teach game that has a wide appeal because it's kind of not obtrusive in any given area or anything, so I think it got a whole lot of votes, whereas I think the people that voted for Dead of Winter probably wanted it to win more than the people who voted for Splendor, but Splendor kind of cast a wider net. I think they're both good games. I personally think Dead of Winter is a better game's weird. I don't know. I like Dead of Winter more than I like Splendor. But, I don't think Splendor's not deserving. It's just a little lackluster, maybe? I don't know. It's got those chips, though. Alright, as far as two-player Game of the Year, Star Realms won that one. Abstract game, Patchwork, which I'm pretty excited about. I like that game a lot. Artwork and presentation went to Abyss because of, I can only imagine, their super ballsy, only the image of the face cover. Card game went to Star Realms as well. Children's game went to The Hare and the Tortoise. Expansion went to Seven Wonders Babel. Family game went to Splendor, further solidifying that Board Game Geek does not understand what a family game is. Innovative goes to Dead of Winter, which I'm very happy about, that the Crossroads cards clearly pulled some weight in that category. Party game went to Cash and Guns. Print and Play went to And Then We Held Hands. Solo game went to Imperial Settlers. Thematic game went to Dead of Winter. War game went to Fire in the Lake. And podcasts went to The Dice Tower. As far as the RPG Geek Golden Geek Awards, Dungeons & Dragons just cleaned up. They won every possible category, basically, with Game of the Year, Best Artwork and Presentation for the Player's Handbook, and Supplement for the Starter Set. Obviously, D&D is the powerhouse in this, so, it cleaned up, but honestly, it kind of deserved it. 5th edition's just really good, guys. And, much to our surprise and delight, Best RPG Podcast went to Board with Life Radio, which is the podcast that I talk about on this all the time that we do, where we are playing through Dungeons & Dragons. And we honestly did not expect to win this, and I know that everybody always says that about everything, but I don't win a lot of awards, but when I do, I kind of think that I deserve them. This one, we were just shocked to even be nominated, so it is absolutely awesome that we won. We are super humbled. Thanks to you guys for voting for us. And yeah, if you haven't listened to the show, you should definitely tune in. All right, other board game news. We might be getting a Settlers of Catan movie, which, I don't know. Gail Katz, she was the producer of the movies The Perfect Storm and Air Force One, which is an awesome movie, bought the film and TV rights for Settlers of Catan, which doesn't really, that happens all the time in Hollywood. Tons and tons of things are purchased just in case somebody eventually wants to make them, and they never do anything with them. So it by no means means that we are getting a Settlers of Catan movie. It just means that now somebody has spent some money saying maybe they would make one. You know what? That movie would suck. It's like the Battleship movie where they're just buying something with... It doesn't even really have a theme beyond, it's just so weak and also boring, kind of. And the thing is, if you want one of those games, one of those big gateway games that exploded, that are selling millions of copies like Settlers of Catan, do Pandemic. Like, that has a story associated with it. Or even Ticket to Ride, I think, has more potential for a story. So I love board games, obviously, and I have zero interest in seeing a Settlers of Catan movie. That being said, Gail Katz, if you're watching, I am a young director with a keen eye and a vast knowledge of board games, so I could probably free up my schedule. If you want to send me an email, I would be willing to meet with you about a movie that for sure would suck, but I would be glad to direct it. The Kickstarter for this week is for The Thunderbirds, designed by Matt Leacock, who designed Pandemic, as well as a lot of other co-op games. Certainly the most famous co-op game designer. And Thunderbirds was a puppet animation, or not animation, just a live-action puppet show in the 60s in the UK, like where they're kind of like special agents that have these airplanes and fly over all the places. All the places in Britain. They fly over every one of them. But it certainly has a cult following, and this is interesting. One of the coolest things about this is Matt Leacock has a Google Doc that they link to from Kickstarter where he is editing the rules as he goes, so you can go look at them and make suggestions to them, which I thought was pretty cool to see a very famous designer kind of the behind the scenes and what raw rules look like before a lot of layout and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. If the game interests you, it's about $60. It's in a different currency, so depending on kind of how exchange rates are, it's about $60 right now for the base game on Kickstarter. All right, that's the news for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe on YouTube, as well as iTunes or whatever podcast listening apparatus you use. The question for this week is by Icky Ooh, and they ask, what did you do when you heard you all had won the Best RPG podcast? I heard last night that we won, or I guess 2 nights ago when this is airing, that we won the Best RPG podcast. It was like pretty late. It was like 10:30 because somebody tweeted at us, congratulations. I had no idea that the awards were being announced then or any of that because, once again, I honestly didn't think we were going to win. So then I went and checked it out, and I texted all of the people involved in our podcast, and all of us were just as shocked as I was, and very happy. And yeah, it's a lot of fun to be recognized for something you do that you like doing, that you think you do well, but in that category, we are certainly small fish. There are a lot of people who are incredibly good that do fantastic podcasts that I love listening to and have been doing them for way longer than we have. So it's humbling, and it was definitely very exciting. I mean, even the nominations, like, I was just reading through, because there's no notification. Like, Board Game Geek doesn't send you, like, a heads up that you got nominated for something. It's just, you find out when you find out. So, like, the nominations, when they came in, I was just looking at the nominations for stuff in the board game categories because I am interested in who's nominated and who's winning and that kind of stuff. And so I was scrolling through and I was like, oh, I wonder if we get nominated for Best Podcast. But I was looking under Best Board Game Podcast because I didn't realize that there was another category for RPG, and we have some board game content. But anyway, so I looked and I was like, oh, okay, we didn't get nominated. That's fine. All these other podcasts are great anyways. But then I got to RPG and I saw us and I was like, oh, weird. And that was kind of our response initially. But it's certainly awesome, and thank you guys once again if you voted for us and listened to the podcast and like the podcast. It's super great. All right, I will see you guys next week.